Hey everybody, it's Pat, and today I want to talk about being the songwriter. How do you deal with presenting a new song idea to your band? How do you work with your bandmates to write the best song possible? To do that, I'm going to share 4 examples of past experiences of mine that really show different approaches to being the songwriter. I think I need an intro. My very first band when I was a teenager was a jam band. Every Friday night we would jam in my friend David's parents' basement, and we could play for hours and hours and just come up with new ideas. It would go in many different directions, and it really was an amazing creative experience. Being best friends and having a great chemistry outside of the band really helped, and eventually we cut down some of the longer jams that we had into individual songs and recorded an album on our own. It was a really great experiment in creativity, but it wasn't very efficient. Over 5 years, we only wrote 5 songs. So that's one approach. You can be in a jam band where everybody has an idea and everybody writes the songs together. It's a lot of fun, but it can sometimes not be very efficient. A couple years later, when I was old enough to have a job and afford a computer, I started writing music in a DAW. If you don't know what a DAW is, it's a digital audio workstation. So it's basically a software that enables you to write music. What I would do is that I would open up a new session and just hit record and start playing. I wouldn't have a click setting or anything like that. I would just play my idea and make sure that I had that written down. Once I had a good idea of what my song was going to be, I would set a time signature and a key, and I would start recording all the parts. Eventually, I started writing lyrics and recording my voice. First thing you knew is that I had a collection of songs, so I formed a band. That band was called Bad Captain, and in that band, I wrote everything. I would create fully produced demo songs that I would present to the guys, and they would just learn the parts. So I'm talking drum, bass, guitars, vocals, everything would be pre-made, and I would just present that to the guys, making mixes for each guy, and they would then learn the songs. The best thing about that situation is that every single band member was totally cool with having the songs handed to them. All they had to do was learn it, and then they could add their personal touch to them. If you take Alex, our drummer, for example, he is one of the best drummers I've ever heard in my life, and he's way better than I am. So he would take the songs, he would learn it, and then he would improve on them and really take the songs to the next level. So that's another approach where one person does all of the work and the other guys are more interpreters than they are composers. But I think it's a very rare situation. I'm lucky enough to play drums, bass, guitars, and sing, and I have the patience and time to make full demos to present to my bandmates. The result was a super efficient band with a very professional work ethic, but some of the chemistry might be missing from that approach. The third example is quite common and is with my brother Mark. Mark is an amazing musician who plays guitars, bass, piano, sings, and all that stuff. But when it comes to drums, he doesn't really have the patience or the time to write drums the way that I do. So he uses Superior Drummer and their amazing collection of loops and patterns to really get an idea of what the drum pattern should be. Once he's done with the demo, he'll then hand that off to me, and then I'll improve the drums as a drummer. When the time comes to hit the studio, I'll be the drummer, and then we'll usually share bass, and then he'll do most of the rest, and that includes mixing. So in this more common case, there's one very creative person who has most of the ideas, but then needs people that are better in some instruments to really make a full song. Now in my current band, Horse Dog, 3 out of the 4 bandmates write the songs. Now 2 of us have the same approach. We like to make fully fledged demos and present those songs to the band. But my bandmate Craig is a bit more old school. He'll go as far as turning on his phone and humming the melody into it, maybe playing a little guitar part, and that's the idea. That's what he'll present to us. Then he either hands that to me to make a full demo, or sometimes we use that idea and then craft a song together. In this case, it's a mix of everything. It's part jam band, part idea that then you call on the other bandmates to work on, and part one person writes everything. And personally, I think that's the best approach. For me, it takes some of the burden off of having to write all the songs, and it also is super efficient because a lot of people are creative in writing songs, and sometimes you just jam it out and figure out the songs. Plus, it keeps all the egos in check because at any given time, somebody could write an amazing part that you have to play. And that could be better than anything you could have thought of. But the result is always the best song possible, and that's what's most important. But these are my 4 personal experiences, and they're only 4 of a multitude of possibilities when it comes to writing songs. In any case, I think it's important to have a discussion with your bandmates and to make sure that you understand the following statement. You serve the song. The best idea should be the one that makes it onto the song, and really it doesn't matter if the drummer came up with a really cool bass part or guitar part. The goal is to have the best song possible. For example, I'm a lefty, but I play drums right-handed. Some of the patterns that I do start with the left hand. Back in the day, one of the first times that Alex heard some of the drum parts I'd written, he was confused about how to start or how to play the patterns. And then I just showed him that I started it with the left hand, and that opened a whole new avenue for him as a drummer. He started playing drum patterns with the left hand. So by playing something that was out of his comfort zone that he didn't necessarily write, that made him a better musician. He was then playing all sorts of different patterns, starting with the left hand, because a left-handed drummer who plays right-handed showed him weird parts he'd never played before. So if you're becoming a better musician, you're writing great songs, and you have great chemistry because you're talking amongst yourselves in your band, there's really nothing to lose. One of my lights just went out, so I think it's time to wrap this up. Let me know in the comments below what your approach is when working with songwriters or when you're presenting songs yourself. I'm really curious to know what the dynamic is in your band, what are the inner workings when you're working with your band or with hired musicians. So that's all for now, but before I'm completely in the dark, don't forget to hit the like button on your way out, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching. And the other one just went out. I think I need to get replacement batteries for